Due to being a very undersized running back, Tommy Archer was unrecruited coming out of high school despite breaking every Texas high school football record. After nonstop promotion of his film and emailing recruiters, Tommy would land a preferred walk-on to a MAC conference school to play for the Toledo Rockets. Tommy would immediately take the starting role and even help lead Toledo to a bowl win in his sophomore season. But with all of his early success at Toledo, he was still being left out of future mock drafts, and he felt like he needed to pursue a larger opportunity in the transfer portal. He would later then transfer to Purdue to have a larger shot of proving himself in the Big Ten Conference. Finishing off his junior season as a top 5 Heisman candidate, Tommy Archer would elect for the NFL draft, where he would still go unnoticed and drop all the way to the 6th round, where the Tennessee Titans would select him. Derrick Henry would get hit with the season-ending injury in the offseason, which would lead to Tommy Archer winning the running back 1 role to start off the season. After a long journey to even get an opportunity like this, Tommy felt like he needed to come out hot and prove to everybody that they were wrong about him and letting him drop to the 6th round. Tommy would get the nod on the first play of the game, taking a rush for only the bare minimum of yards, and even the second play of the game didn't go as planned, as he would only pick up 7 right here, but the third play is where he broke all the way out, juking out a defender and hitting the sideline for the race. It's him and 1 defender, but he would later get hawked out and have a yard gain of 45. The entire drive went our way as we were catching a screen pass on the next play call as well, and we would have ourselves inside the 5-yard line, where our coach would later hand the ball off again, and we would have our first NFL touchdown, and we were celebrating with our teammates. Trying to continue our early success on the second drive, Ryan Tannehill is going to throw an interception over the middle, and we have to pull our DK Metcalf in and try to chase him down, but we would miss the tackle, and they would have easy field position on offense. Looking to bounce back in the third drive of the game, Ryan Tannehill and I would have poor communication on this out route, and we would throw a turnover once again, but this time it would go for 6, and all of a sudden they have a 10-point lead. Now trailing 24-7 in the fourth quarter, we're looking to make some huge plays on the offensive side of the ball, even lining up as a wide receiver and catching a lot of balls. We're going to be able to show that we could be a two-way back, and we are dominating in the passing game. Although this game was impossible to win, we are trying to carry momentum going into week 2, so we're trying to punch us in on the last second, and we did it all throughout the air, having 4 catches and 1 of them being a receiving touchdown. Tommy Archer would end the game off with 2 total touchdowns, 1 being in the air and 1 being on the ground, but in our week 2 performance, we need to step up as we are taking on one of the best teams in the NFL, the Buffalo Bills, on primetime. After having a great last drive of last game, Coach Vrabel told us that we would be worked a lot more into the receiving game, and we would start off on offense down 3 points, and we would have a pretty solid run to open up the game. This Buffalo Bills front 4 would give us a lot more problems this matchup than the Giants did, and we were not able to run or find the open hole at all, and we were definitely struggling early. After struggling to move the ball, our coach would still give us the rock on 3rd and 5, and we would juke to the outside and have our biggest gain yet, but on a 3rd and 10, Ryan Tannehill would just throw the ball away, and we would have to settle for 3. On this next drive, we're still trailing by 3 points because Mason Crosby would end up missing the field goal from close, but on a 1st and 10, we're calling up an empty passing set where Treylon Burks would run a pick route, and we would find ourselves wide open for a huge touchdown gain. The second half would not go our way at all, as we would continue to struggle on the ground game, and we could not pick up any yards, and our offense could not block as well, as we were picking up so many sacks. Buffalo's offense would start to heat up, so we're now trailing by 10 points, and we need some early points in this third quarter, and we're doing everything we can. Tommy's playing his best ball yet of his NFL career here in this third quarter, as he would find himself open once again to get us in enemy territory, but on a 3rd and 8, Ryan Tannehill would throw the ball once again out of bounds, and we would have to settle for another 3-point attempt. Josh Allen would once again go ahead and score, and they are now up 14 points, and Ryan Tannehill, trying to force the ball down the field, would throw an interception, and we would fall to 0-2, and this Tennessee Titans offense is not looking very good. In our next game in week 3, we would be taking on an 0-2 Las Vegas Raiders team who is also struggling at the moment, but if we want to make any push for the playoffs, tonight is a must-win game. The first play of offense would go to us on a handoff off the middle, and we would bounce off defenders and hit the outside and show off our true speed, as we would burn everybody on a race to the end zone, and that would be our first breakaway touchdown as we end off with 75 yards. That big rush would give Tommy Archer all the confidence he would need to continue this game off as the starting running back, and he would do so in the second drive of the game as well, as he would continue to break away all the way outside and show off his true speed. But later in the drive, Tommy Archer would go off for a pass and have a bad call for the ball, and Ryan Tannehill would throw an interception over top, and we have to show off a chase down all the way down the field. Already tired from the drive before, Tommy Archer's going to chase the safety down and save a touchdown. This would be a very low-scoring game all game long. Even in the third quarter, we would be fighting for every single yard. It felt like it was a gauntlet all game long. And even in the fourth quarter, we're trying to chew this out and kick a field goal to end this game off. With the clock continuing to move, we have one more play before the 2-minute warning, and we would get the handoff and kick it to the outside where we basically guaranteed a field goal. On a 3rd and 8, we were able to take their last time out, but that would not be enough for the first down, and Coach Vrabel would pull us off to the sideline as we send our field goal unit out. Our defense would let up a devastating touchdown, and we got to do everything we can to put a touchdown on the board to win this game, and we are going to do so in the passing game, getting a lot of catches underneath, but burning our last time out here, we only have one play left. And with the last play of the game, Ryan Tannehill would just throw the ball out of bounds and not give anybody a single chance, and we would go on to lose our third straight game to open up the season. Now, after starting 0-3, Coach Vrabel would reach out to us knowing we have to turn around the offense, and Tommy Archer would be fired up in this game as he knew he was one of the leaders on this team, and after having his best game of the season last game, he had to do more this one. Only one team since the NFL merger has made the playoffs after starting 0-4, and that was the 1992 San Diego Chargers, so we knew this was an absolute must-win game as the odds were not on our side. Building off with the momentum from his Week 3 performance, Tommy Archer was looking to perform really well in this game, and he was doing so already on the opening drive as he would have multiple 10-yard runs, and he was dominating to get his team inside the 5-yard line. After having a great drive and earning some red zone touches, we're going to truck our way into the end zone to start the game off 7-0, and we are feeling really good on offense early on. Even after the first great drive of the game, Tommy Archer would not really do much on offense until late in the third quarter where we're looking to tie up this game. This game was a rough one in the second half as Tommy Archer was not able to do anything on the ground, and we were just running into a brick wall every single play. After struggling to get anything going on the ground, we would get ourselves into a crucial 4th and 7, and with barely any time remaining on the clock, we would throw an interception, and that would lead to our 4th loss of the season, and this is about as going as bad as it could possibly get. We never thought we would be saying this, but heading into Week 5, we are still looking for our first W of the season, and Tommy Archer needs to step up. Coach Vrabel expressed how he wanted to go back to controlling the clock and pounding the rock like he did with Derrick Henry in the offense, and we would do so in the first drive, having multiple great runs to open up this game. Tommy Archer would look to cap this drive off with a touchdown, and he would do so lining up an empty and finding himself open, but we can't get complacent as we always start off with a starting touchdown and always slow down. Not much offense has happened once again in this game as we find ourselves with only 7 points on the board in the third quarter, but Tommy Archer's having himself a pretty good individual performance as he has multiple big runs and trying to spark some O. After our offense would settle for 3 on that last drive, we find ourselves tied, and after getting a stop, we can now chew this clock on out to kick a last-second field goal. On a 3rd and 7 with only 30 seconds remaining, a huge first down grab by Tommy Archer would then clutch up the game to allow a game-winning field goal, and we finally have our first win of the season. Our biggest test yet would come in our next game as we would take on the Kansas City Chiefs in prime time in Arrowhead Stadium. Our first carry of the game wouldn't come until late in the first quarter, and it would be a great one as we would dash to the outside and go all the way inside enemy territory. After the big rush, we would catch a pass over the middle that would get us in striking distance to take the lead over the reigning Super Bowl champions, and we would do so, scoring the first touchdown of this game. Not seeing the second possession until the 2-minute warning in the second quarter, we're looking to have some big plays in the passing game as well, as we would do so on a screen and then later line up in the empty formation and find ourselves beating the corner one-on-one, and we had our biggest gain yet in the air of the season. With only minimal seconds remaining in the half, we would have a miscommunication with Ryan Tannehill, and that would lead to us getting pulled to the sideline to kick 3 before half to take a 3-point lead. Coach Vrabel wanted to make this the last possession of the game as we would get the ball back down 4 points, and we cannot give Patrick Mahomes the ball again. But on this play, we would gain way too many yards, having a huge play to the outside, and Tommy Archer's looking to score a touchdown. But after being too cute with the clock, we would get ourselves in a sticky 4th and 6 situation, and Ryan Tannehill would throw the ball away, but we would get a bailout call after a roughing the passer. And now after the flag, we're going to get a stretch call all the way to the outside and take an easy touchdown with only 34 seconds remaining, and this game looks like ours to lose. But just like Mahomes always does, he had some magic left in him, and he got 3 points on the board, and it looks like we're going to overtime. After our defense would force Patrick Mahomes in the offense to punt, we would have a great chance to go ahead and get a field goal on the board, and Tommy Archer is starting off this overtime period really nicely. Trying to get within the 35-yard line, we're going to have multiple big runs back-to-back as we would have another 15-yard carry, and then on the next play, we would get the handoff call again and have another first down marker that would lead to a Mason Crosby field goal, and it's up. And it's good, and we have our second win of the season, beating the reigning Super Bowl champions. Fast forwarding to the end of the season, where we were mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, we still wanted to create momentum for the next season and push for Rookie of the Year awards and maybe even the Pro Bowl. One of our last meaningful regular season games of the year would come against the reigning NFC champions, where we would like to prove ourselves as one of the best running backs in the league and also rookies. With the Eagles also getting eliminated from the playoffs, both teams are fighting for a moral win at this time of the season, and we are trying to do everything we can on offense to prove that we are the offensive Rookie of the Year. After getting sacked on back-to-back plays, Ryan Tannehill would just chuck the ball on up to us in a speed race, and we would beat the corner and have our first touchdown of the game, and Tommy Archer's doing it all. In the second half, with the score tied at 10 apiece, Tommy Archer would break a tackle from the defensive lineman and juke out Bradbury and have a race all the way to the end zone in which he would win against Darius Slay, and that was a huge way to open up the second half. The second half of this game would basically be the Tommy Archer show, as he would take a sweep to the outside and we would get great blocks all around, not even getting touched all the way to the end zone, and that would be his second breakaway touchdown in 2 different touches. This would be a very high scoring game, but with the score tied at 24 apiece and only a minute left on the clock, Ryan Tannehill is going to hit Treylon Burks on a wide open streak down the sideline, and we would take the lead late in this game. But just like the Chiefs game, our defense would choke once again, and it looks like after this catch right here, we are headed to overtime. Our defense would get a stop to start off overtime once again like they did in the Chiefs game, and we are going to have prime position to go ahead and score, and Tommy Archer is looking for another big play, and he would do so, getting his 4th touchdown and also the game-winning touchdown, and we take out both of the champions that made the Super Bowl last year. Although we didn't make the playoffs, Tommy Archer would finish the season with 1,700 yards on the ground and 600 in the air with multiple touchdowns, almost getting 20 altogether. He would get elected to the Pro Bowl in his first year in the NFL. If you enjoyed Tommy Archer's first season in the NFL, make sure to hit that subscribe button, as we are pushing for 2,500, as we're going to have so many more RTGs on this channel.